Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic podcast. Let me just pee up a bit properly. Welcome to, again, I do apologise for the massive delays on podcasts this week. Unfortunately, we were meant to have a podcast on Tuesday with Mikey Andrews for his return to the Nerdic podcast. Unfortunately, Mikey had unfortunately pull out due to personal issues of his. Tommy, you're a dick. So again, I do massively apologise for the inconsistency for podcasts this week. Yesterday was just an absolute nightmare for personal reasons and what have you. And so I'm live here on location here in Braintree, here in Essex. For those of you that don't know, I referee wrestling here in the UK, and I've got a show tomorrow for CXW, CPW for Wrestle Scream. And so just sort of here, just to sort of genuinely sort of, well, I've got to keep my noise down as it's currently like 1:45 at night, and I've got this on like a desk in the room, I'm, as I said, doing this here live on location from a hotel, and Tommy said, bollocks to Braintree, it's all about Kettering, bruv. Tommy, I've never heard you say bruv. So tell you what, Tommy, why do you love Kettering so much? Let's hear that from you. So the main focus today is going to be about The Walking Dead. A series that I have got into this week. I want to say it was on Tuesday I first started watching it, and I put out a post on Facebook. I want to say on Tuesday, Wednesday, saying it was the best thing since sliced bread, and I still stand by that. That The Walking Dead is literally the best thing since sliced bread. I've honestly never been a fan of horror whatsoever, at all. But this, like The Walking Dead, isn't exactly horrific. The Walking Dead, like the opposite to The Walking Dead, is the oh no shit, you absolute melon. The Running Alive. I can swear now, technically, because it's past the watershed, just saying, at the time of filming this. So I don't really care. Just got a receipt from Sainsbury's. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so, like, The Walking Dead is, well, I'm going to dedicate this podcast to The Walking Dead, chat a bit about the show tomorrow, and sort of what matches are set to take place, etc. At the Institute, literally just across the road here. The Walking Dead, as I've literally just said, I've never been a fan of horror at all. But The Walking Dead isn't what I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a mobile game that obviously you can install through the App Store on your portable electronic mobile telephone machine. And I thought it was going to be the same sort of storyline to that, but the storyline on the mobile game and the actual TV series are completely bloody different. So to begin with, so like you set the scene in Atlanta, Georgia, right? In the United States of America, the US of A, right? And so it starts off with, a couple of coppers, Rick and I can't even think the other bloke's name now. Rick and Shane, was it Shane? So where they're, trying to, get away from, walkers as they're known, zombies and what have you, So yeah, like I think it's story wise, like obviously you've got like the camp and what have you. People die, people have come in, people who've come in have died, and what have you. And I know that there will be plenty more characters because I'm up to. I want to say I need to start season 4, episode 6 of it, and so yeah, tomorrow morning when I'm getting up and getting ready and whatever, I'll watch an episode of it. So it's season 4, episode 6. I'll tell you, I'll do that after I finish this, and before I end up going to sleep, and and then tomorrow I'll watch season 4, episode 7 tomorrow morning, and tomorrow night I'll watch. Yeah, so so like. I think it's good that they keep the storyline going rather than it just being just episode by episode, and have it as like a storyline sort of series. I honestly wish I'd have taken notes for it to do like a podcast properly. But yeah, tell you what, do you want to see some fantasy booking? Right, as I've not done a bit of that for a while. Right, I've got a pen here somewhere. Here we go. Always keep a pen in my man bag. Right? Man bag. Right. So quite a few of the notes that I've done. That's work. And so we've got notes here of old wrestling stuff. From an episode of SmackDown. What episode was this? Episode of week number 189 of Nerdic Pro Weekly. That's how far this goes back. Blooming Nora. And then this was a show of Maple Leaf Wrestling, forged in excellence. So it started off with a 6-man tag: Josh Alexander, Stu Grayson, and El Fantasma versus Rocky Romero, Alex Zane, and Trevor Lee, obviously formerly Cameron Grimes. Then more stuff: Night of Champions. Good Nora, right? Stuff like Pokemon. Dear me. Yeah, so with The Walking Dead, I needed to bloody take some notes for it, really. Like, I wanted to podcast about it. Do you know what I mean? That would be the logical thing to do. So if I were to start talking about Rick, right, from The Walking Dead, right? All right, The Walking Dead on here. Obviously, Rick is. I honestly can't remember the bloody partner's name. So he is obviously husband to Laurie, father to Carl and Judith, aka Little Ass Kicker, which Daryl gave her the what's it, that nickname. And yeah, obviously camp leader / group leader, all right. He's obviously, idol to Carl / hero / father figure, obviously father figure to Carl / group members. I wanted to bloody Google his partner's name. Hang on. That's got to bug me now. Oh dear. Right. Yeah. So yeah, like just by the notes I've got, right? This is one thing that I do like to do here on the Nerdic Pro podcast is improvise, right? When I've had one of those sorts of weeks where I've not had the chance to do anything in terms of prep. And I know I keep on saying that, everything's got to get back into order. But with the upcoming podcast, because I have got notes, right? In my little interview book right here for the podcast coming up next month in just a matter of weeks, right? With people such as former WWE Tag Team Champion, like current star of the National Wrestling Alliance, if I can get to him. Who's currently on a bit of a roll and a bit of a big sort of push of the National Wrestling Alliance at the moment. Mike Mondo. And then obviously as well, the Bullhead Brutes, OJ Kazana, member of the Country Gentlemen in the National Wrestling Alliance as well. I've got notes here for both of them. So, yeah, check them out on the 5th of November, Wednesday the 5th, and Thursday the 13th of November. Mike Mondo on the Wednesday, AJ Kazana on the Thursday. So, yeah, check them out. So, yeah. So, The Walking Dead, one thing that I like about that is you've got, so storyline-wise, you've got fear, you've got love. I can move my hand out the bloody way of the camera. You've got obviously fear, you've got love, you've got obviously compassion for everyone, and what have you. And the various other things, you've got, team building stuff and all that, and with Rick, you can tell that he wants to guide everybody to freedom, guide everyone to hope and survival. Obviously, from the camp just outside Atlanta, when he first reunites with Laurie and with Carl after coming out of the hospital, and then going into Atlanta City itself and being picked up by oh my god, I can't even think of his name. The Korean bloke. He turns out to be Maggie's other half. Anyways, yeah, and then obviously with the rest of the group in the department store, and then obviously on the roof, and then we have with the rest of the group in the camp just outside of Atlanta, and yeah, and obviously from then on, he obviously wanted to guide everyone to sort of get to safety, get to freedom, and what have you. And obviously, right at the start, you went down George, and you had obviously George's son, who had saved Rick's life. You had obviously Rick promise to speak to them every morning at dawn, through the walkie-talkie radio. And then obviously right at the start of season 4, right at the end of season 3, you had them go back to the town just outside of Atlanta. And so you had Michonne, and you had Carl, and you had Rick, and obviously George's son was then dead at that point. And then he's like, yeah, as far as I'm aware, George does come back later on in the series, I believe, after that. So yeah, obviously Laurie as well, his affiliation with Laurie. They were obviously inseparable. Yes, you had Shane, you had the affair with Laurie, and that's one way to put it. Anyone giving it to each other in your hotel tonight? Like there is a wedding here. And like I do know that there has been a wedding today, and quite a few people, including the newlyweds, are here. Staying in this hotel. So yeah, but they're a bit further down the corridor than where I am. Because coincidentally, Tommy, I was in when we both come to the so like when I riffed on that show, over 18 show last November that you were also at. I'm in the room that you were in, and I've stayed in this room before, and yeah, so yeah, but yeah, like the newlyweds are in one of the rooms that I was in earlier, and slap. You're gonna get me cancelled at some point. I mean, just just making you aware. But I love you, really. But yeah, this guy here in the comments, ladies and gents, is Tommy Lambert. He is a very good radio host, very, very good friend of mine. He hosts Tommy's Rock and Metal Mayhem on Ipswich Community Radio, ICR 105.7 FM, as well as, I can't even think of the title of his Tuesday night shows, but his Rock and Metal Mayhem goes from, I believe, 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. on Thursdays. Tuesday nights, his Uncensored show, I believe, goes from 10 p.m. Tuesday night to 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. ICR 105.7 FM. Check him out. If not, then you'll definitely be missing out and what have you. So yeah, but yeah. Anyways, so with Laurie, Rick, and Shane, obviously Laurie had the affair with Shane. Obviously, thinking that Rick was dead. And this guy talking on the video is Robert Salazar, the one with orange hair and likes to sing Irish songs. My name is Bobby. My name is legally Bobby, as in it's what it says on my birth certificate and what it says on my provisional driving license in here. I would show my provisional driving license, but it's got my address on it, and I don't want to put my address out on to the viewing world. Yeah, and this is blonde in case you're blind or colorblind. And yes, I'm very big into Irish music. You are correct. Irish folk music, that is probably my favorite genre, if that's the correct word for it, of music. So yeah, obviously thinking that Shane was dead. They had an affair. Would you call it an affair if the bloke was dead? Like the actual husband was dead, or whatever. But obviously that's what they thought, and then obviously found out that Rick was still alive. They then start obviously sleeping together again. Next thing you know, she then falls pregnant pretty much straight away, and yeah, so there was obviously concerns for Judith / little ass kicker. The daughter who Laurie ended up giving birth to in the prison, one of the camps later on. Then they get to in the end of season 2, start of season 3. And then obviously she unfortunately passed away in childbirth because obviously very little food, very little health care at the time because obviously, there's a big apocalypse going on, she was very, malnourished and what have you, and, quite ill in herself, obviously. And, unfortunately died in childbirth. Bless her. And obviously at that point in time in life, they wouldn't have access to DNA testing kits, and obviously with Shane being dead, they wouldn't be able to test him. But it would be obvious, if Judith wasn't Rick's, then obviously she would be Shane's. Pretty obvious, that, isn't it? And obviously Carl, the further along in the program it goes, the more he obviously the older he gets and the more responsibility he wants to take on to try and help and to try and protect everyone and to try and keep everyone safe. Obviously then when Laurie falls pregnant and she then dies, and obviously when Judith / little ass kicker is then born, obviously that's when he wants to try and do even more. And I mean, one thing that I would have liked to have seen in it is probably it be like a bit more gory. Do you know what I mean? Bobby wants to be a zombie. No, I don't. Bobby's zombies. Bobby wants to be a zombie. Bobby's zombie star. I hate you so much. No, my legal name is Salazar, right? And obviously I go by Salastar as obviously stage name for podcast and for wrestling. And Tommy, I need to ask you a question whilst you're here, right? Do you fancy making a return? What the bloody hell is one of them? I don't get that. Tommy, I need to ask you a question. Do you fancy making a return to the Nerdic Pro podcast at some point this coming week, before DOA in Great Yarmouth? Another set of shows that I'll be refereeing on, because, I don't stop, do I? Even though that I was meant to have stopped November the 9th. I've still decided to take bookings for the rest of the year, haven't I? And Eddie on next year. So, yeah. You haven't seen Negan in The Walking Dead. I haven't got to that bit, no. I haven't got to Negan yet. No. I'm on season 4. I think I'm just about to start season 4, episode 6. And I haven't got to her yet, no. If you mean doing a preview of the show next Saturday, yeah. Yes, doing that. And as well, screwing about like we always do on the show. And so because what I want, Tommy, is to make the Nerdic Pro podcast a bit better, right? Negan is a man, you plum. Well, that obviously proves that I haven't got to where Negan is yet, right? If I thought that Negan was a woman, right, and not a bloke, right? So, yeah. Well, in today's day and age, Negan could be both. So, yeah, that's going to get me cancelled, isn't it? Oh, I hate my life. Yes, yes. Talk about BOA next Saturday. So yeah. Anyways, I need to head off in a minute because I was only able to do this for half an hour. Tommy then come on like he always does and screws me about. Not like that. Okay, well, we're ready for when Negan kills Glenn. I hate you so much. Glenn was the Korean bloke that I was on about earlier. Now I remember his name. You had to ruin it, didn't you? Telling me that bloody Glenn was going to die at the hands of Negan. Anyways, talking tomorrow, right, or later on. Okay, that is until season 7. What I'm not even halfway through bloody season 4 yet. You div. Oh, I may as well bloody stop watching now, mightn't I? How dare you? Right, talking about tomorrow, right? Shit. I have one of them. Yeah, so tomorrow, Championship Extreme Wrestling and Certified Professional Wrestling present Wrestle Scream at the Institute here in Braintree in Essex. And yeah, it's absolutely mega stacked card. You'll be seeing the likes of the Wonder Kid, Johnny Storm, take on fresh from the CP Dub Hub, Iron Aiden, who made his in-ring debut at the Graduation Day shows this past February. You'll be seeing who else is wrestling? So the CPW title, the Big Rig versus the unpaid intern. The Voodoo Queen, the Voodoo Queen, Mara, will be taking on Jazz, the Ripper, again fresh from the CP Double Hub. There'll be a 3-way match. Corvus will be taking on Bobby Knuckles. So Bobby Knuckles, I believe, has come from the SOS Academy and has gone to the shut up. Bobby and Corvus is from like another academy as well. I believe Bobby Knuckles have come from SOS. Can't think off the top of my head where Corvus has come from in terms of wrestling. And then they'll be facing the Golden Boy Andy Stone from the Falling Star Wrestling Academy based in Kings Lynn. And then making cover. The big deathmatch wrestler who's coming to the UK next week. So yeah, I believe she might be here already. I don't know. Who else? What else has been announced? Trying to think. Oh yeah, the tag team rumble. I should know what's on this show as I'm refereeing the entire card for the CPW tag titles. You've got Mad Power, so Mad Dog Mason and T Power, current champs Waste Management. you'll be seeing Kid Rock and DT Doom, the Dead City Saints, Alex Mercy and Sean Carroll. And then there's one more team, I believe, which is Bobby the Brawler and Meat. So, yeah, and then you'll be seeing Isaiah Jackson versus Frederick something Prince. Frederick. A newcomer to the business. And you'll be seeing Alf Everest. Who will Alf be taking on? I can't think off the top of my head. And then you'll be seeing Duffer, who was meant to have been taken on Robbo, otherwise known as Paul Robinson. However, unfortunately, Paul Robinson has recently been injured these past few days and is unable to make the event tomorrow. So Paul Robinson's replacement is none other than the man himself, Mordecai Shaw. There's one more match that I haven't got down now. I really can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, it'll be a very good show tomorrow. I can announce now, as it's been made public, I will also be making my return to Certified Pro Wrestling / Championship Extreme Wrestling on November the 9th, Sunday, November the 9th, here in Braintree at the Institute. The day before, coincidentally, the day before my 21st birthday, believe it or not. So, yeah, that'll be good. That'll be because it'll be 2 days before Remembrance Day. They've got to have the whole show as like a war memorial theme. DT Doom. I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning his name, but Danny, right? He is a legit military personnel for Britain, and he's been put on the poster. He's the sole poster boy for it, and I think that's very, very good for that. And they're also having so for this show on November the 5th, not November the 5th, November the 9th, sorry. They are going to be giving out free tickets to those who currently serve in active military personnel, as well as like retired military personnel as well. Yeah, that's a very good gesture from Paris, the promoter. But yeah, I mean, Adam Paris, what is there to say about him? I've known Paris a few years now. Just before I started reffing, I got to know Paris, and I think the level of dedication that bloke has to British wrestling, or Brit Wrest as he likes to call it, is literally second to none, right? And I want to be upfront and honest. I don't even really care what other promoter even hears this, right? But that bloke has literally been my favourite promoter for quite a while. As I think you don't see anyone else go out door to door selling tickets, right? You know, because that's what Paris does for a living. You know, he's a salesman, right? I believe he sells like motorbikes and like second-hand cars and vans and second-hand vehicles, right? And vehicles in general, right? And he'll go around door to door, you know, trying to pick up like a few sales, blah blah blah, a few pitches, that sort of stuff, right? And when he started promoting CXW 4 years back, he'd go around door to door, like promoting his shows. Like he'd go around shopping centres, public places, trying to get his show out there. the level of dedication that bloke has put into this business, you don't see pretty much any other promotion or any other promoter, should I say, even give that level of shit about promoting their shows, right? But then they'll then moan when nobody's actually heard of their company. You know what I mean? And they'll moan when people traveling cross country. I've experienced it myself. I did a show up in Leeds about 2.5 years back. Bearing in mind, I live up in Norfolk, right? And I did a show in Leeds about 2.5 years back, and the promoter was moaning because us lot who travelled up to that show, like to go work on it. Bear in mind, I was a ref and travelled up with a few of the wrestlers because we didn't sell enough tickets from round our way, and he was moaning because we didn't sell like enough tickets for people around here. And he goes, well, I've travelled to bloody, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like to a show before. And it's like, mate, I travelled 5.5 hours to a show in Cardiff, right? 3 years back, right? Where's my medal? You know what I mean? And but then people like that don't go out flyering, they don't go out postering, they don't go out, getting the word out there in the local area, branch out into like further like afield areas to try and get the word out there. And then they'll know when they book like a bunch of nobodies as well, who literally no bastard's ever bloody heard of, which is something that annoys me. When you book nobodies, expect nobody to turn up. You know what I mean? If you book, because this thing, you book nobodies, nobody turns up. You book if you book a somebody will turn up. You know what I mean? That's how I put it. You book a nobody turns up. You book a somebody turns up. Do you know what I mean? To come and watch that somebody. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, but that's British wrestling for you at the end of the day, innit? But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I suppose myself and Tommy will be coming on at some point within the next few days. Tommy, I'm going to send you a message in a minute to organise that. And obviously, either we do it on location, if you want to call it that, in Yarmouth on Friday, or we do it beforehand, like this, as in both of us on StreamYard, as we've done before. And yeah, also don't forget, Wednesday, November the 5th. For the next couple of weeks, Nerdic Pro Weekly will be on Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. UK time. Where also, if Tommy's about as well, we could review Crown Jewel as well. Talk a bit about that, and as well as DOA next week. So yeah, I don't want to talk about DOA now because obviously we can save that for the podcast in a few days. So yeah, what was I then saying? Yeah, so Wednesday, November the 5th, former WWE Tag Team Champion, current National Wrestling Alliance superstar, No Fear Mike Mondo will be coming to the Nerdic Pro podcast. Then following Thursday, November the 13th, former two-time National Wrestling Alliance United States Tag Team Champion of AJ Kazana, the Bullhead Brute, a member of the Country Gentlemen, will also be making his debut on the Nerdic Pro podcast. So be sure to be checking them out. The live streams are already up here on YouTube somewhere. So that's where you can find us coming live. And so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people on the Nerdic Pro podcast, my name is, as per usual, been Bobby effing Salister. And I shall definitely be seeing him on Thursday, depending on when Tommy's available. to do the thing of Crown Jewel, as well as DOA, for definite DOA. We'll be seeing you then. Anyways, thank you all very much, and goodbye.